Curtain goes up on the big fight, Tyson versus Bruno, and certainly the most important event in terms of British boxing for many, many years. This weigh-in, which is taking place some 36 hours before the fight itself, is being held in the Hilton showroom. And this is a theatre, and the stalls, as it were, are packed, and I mean packed, with British supporters. There are hundreds of them here this morning to watch this weighing-in ceremony. And Frank Bruno has got support here in Las Vegas from his own family. Laura, his girlfriend, is here. She's here this morning, sitting alongside Frank's sister. Frank's mother is here, but she's not attending the weigh-in. He has a brother here, and there are other relatives. Huge support for the man who will certainly achieve the most significant win this century in British boxing if he beats Mike Tyson. Well, now the two men come to the moment when they'll step onto the scales, and the moment when we may well be able to get an idea of the comparative stature of the two men, because certainly Bruno is going to be far, far taller than Tyson.
Heavyweight champion of the world from the Catskills, New York, Iron Mike Tyson.
And a quick change of mind. They decide that the challenger shall weigh him first, and Frank Bruno doffs the green tracksuit he's been wearing. He's been standing on the stage chewing gum, hardly said a word, looking quiet and collected, and now on the scales, and should go something like 16 stone odd. 16 stone is 224 pounds.
Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Bruno weighs in at 228 pounds, or 16 stone 4 pounds.
Well, for the sake of the British fans, the poundage translated into stones, 16 stone 4.
Undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson.
And now Tyson, some 4 inches shorter, and will probably be nearly a stone lighter.
Mike Tyson weighs in at an even 218 pounds.
6 pounds under 16 stone. That is 15 stone 8. So he's going to be conceding 10 pounds, and now the first of the pre-fight confrontations, the staring match, the ritual now this has become on these big occasions. And do have to say that the figure of Bruno towers over the stockier figure of Tyson. And so they part, the final meeting before the curtain goes up on the fight itself.
So around 15 hours to go, no doubts that champion and challenger are in the peak of condition. The best thing that Bruno can do now is not to listen to the big fight projections. Des Lynam has been talking to two of our most distinguished sports journalists, Ian Wooldridge of the Daily Mail and Hugh McIlvanney of The Observer.
I think if you consider hand speed, punching power, fluency, variety of technique, and perhaps above all the capacity to withstand heavy bombardment to the head, the gulf between these men is sufficient to suggest that the odds flatter Frank. The odds make him a big outsider, but not enough of an outsider in relation to the realities of this occasion.
Ian, just supposing Frank Bruno were to win this fight, what do you think that would mean for him in terms of sporting fame?
I might have to stay here for a start.
Yeah, we'd have to stay here. No, I think what it would mean for him is that he could go on boxing well, the first thing it would mean is a celebration of a size we've never seen in Britain before, of course, and it would be wonderful for Frank. And it could mean that he could go on in boxing, because then he'd be the hottest property around. I can't see any way of it happening at all. And this is.
But in terms of sporting fame, where would that put him, do you think?
Well, I think it would put him enormously up there, because, I mean, here's a man talked about as possibly being the best of all time, and suddenly Frank comes out, one of the most amazing underdogs ever, and beats him. Now, if that happened, I think it's more of a personal thing for him. I think he could go on and become a very, very rich man. But even if he loses here tomorrow, I hope he doesn't lose ignominiously. I hope if he does lose, I hope he goes down bravely. I then want to see him finish boxing completely. I can't see any justification for him ever going on. He must have 2 or 3 million in the bank. Heavens, I mean, even Hugh McIlvanney could live on that. So I'd like to see him go.
What's the best hope?
Level with Ladbrokes.
What's the best hope that you would have for Bruno?
The best hope, I suppose, is that he goes out blasting and lands a fortunate punch and shakes Tyson up. But when Ian was saying that it would be a wonderful thing if Frank won, I think the first reaction would be that something had gone wrong with Mike Tyson, because, see, people know that Frank has huge deficiencies as a fighter. He's very slow, he's ponderous in conception and execution in the ring, and he just doesn't take a punch. I don't think you can learn how to take a punch late in your career. I think if Frank does win, the boxing world at large, and that means in the main America, will think that there's been some kind of accident. As you're well aware, the Americans are convinced that our heavyweights have a special affinity with the horizontal. There's plenty in the record of the 11 British fighters who've attempted to win the title this century to justify that prejudice. And they think, you see, they don't have all the hype. They don't have anything like the hype we've got at home. Sports Illustrated, the leading sports magazine in the world, didn't bother to preview the fight. They feel that this is some kind of mildly diverting and rather eccentric British intrusion into a domain that they consider to be strictly American.
I'm sure our viewers will get very excited about seeing what happens. How about two hard-bitten, crusty old journalists like Hugh? Do you get excited by it still?
I'm so nervous, my stomach's beginning to churn, because I'm worried about Big Frank. I think he is a very endearing guy, and I'm not being condescending. He's also a considerable sportsman. I just don't think he's equipped to fight this guy. But my worry is that, and my profound hope, is that he should come out of there without serious damage and feeling good about himself. I think that Terry Lawless will try to avoid physical. He'll not only try, he'll do a great deal to ensure that there's no severe physical damage, but of course there's a big risk of humiliation. I hope Frank escapes all of that and comes out happy with himself.
As perhaps a non-boxing specialist and a great critic of the sport from time to time, how do you feel about actually sitting ringside and watching this fight? Now, how will you feel about it?
I think Hugh got it then. I shall feel absolutely sick tomorrow. And how often, watching sport year after year after year, do you feel really sick with tension? Now, you see as much as any of us. Maybe before the 100 metres in the Olympics, 100 metres final, you're so tensed up. And tomorrow, I know very little about boxing, but I know I'll go in there, and even now, you know, with about, as we talk, 32, 31 hours to go, you think, how is Frank living with that? To know he's got to face this man tomorrow. And I know that when I go into that stadium tomorrow to be pretty close to the ringside, I will be feeling sick, because on television, with great respect to television, you never get the full impact of the punching, the power of the punching. It doesn't come through on the box. Only when you're close at ringside you see. It is horrendous, and I will be feeling, well, not well.
We can hold each other's hand, and that's what we're going to have to do, but unfortunately nobody will be there to hold Frank's hand. We'll hope he makes good use of the hands. We don't want anybody holding them, but I agree with Ian. God, it's going to be a hard thing to avoid letting your hand shake when you sit down there.
After that, the only opinions that really matter are those of Bruno and Tyson. Opinions that will be graphically presented in the Big Fight preview at 11 o'clock.
I was in the Catskill Mountains, and we'd done about 30 rounds there, you know, and the first time I ever sparred with him was about 2 years previous to that. And I'd only done 2 rounds that time, but when we went to the Catskill Mountains, we'd done about 25 rounds, and it was very, very good. Terry was there at the time, and Terry goes, oh, you better take it easy on this kid, because Cuss said that he's just coming up, so you better, you know, just go, we're going to do about 4 or 6 rounds. And the nutter come out, like, for 2 rounds, and Cuss mother pulled him out.
Yeah, we were just 2 young guys, and it was interesting.
But when we went to the Catskill Mountains, you know, I got my own back, I think.
I say he's a good guy. I mean, this is a business that we go through. I'm sure Frank must have landed a shot or 2. It was 5 years ago. It was very difficult to remember. And, I mean, I fought a couple of guys that I liked. I liked Michael Spinks a great deal. I admired him a great deal, watching him as I was a kid. You know what I mean? Having a great deal of admiration for him. But, you know, I mean, this is our business. I mean, if he wins, he goes up. If I win, I move up another step. That's the objective.
And we can promise you a very unusual look at the Las Vegas prospects tonight at 11. And remember the Big Fight coverage itself tomorrow afternoon, BBC One at 3 o'clock, repeated at 10:45 in the evening. But remember, live coverage on Radio 2 at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. Well, it seems to be second only to the Grand National as a betting occasion, and the bookmakers stand to lose millions should Frank win. Prices vary, but you can get 14 to 1 on Mike Tyson, winning inside 55 seconds, 150 to 1 on Frank Bruno doing the same. Most popular bet, however, is Bruno winning in the first, odds on that coming down to 33 to 1. 7 to 1, a Bruno victory, 6 to 1 on Tyson. Well, whatever happens in Las Vegas, British boxing received quite